Hey, mate. So when I say a joint offer, strategic partnership, or a counterpart deal, or a strategic partnership, or a strategic Revshare partnership, here's what I mean. It's at least 3 to 5 years long, and the reason we want that is it generally eliminates exclusivity or some form of weird royalty that'll stop you from growing through other distribution partners. Two, it's not a resell, it's a joint offer. So you've sat down with your end client and created something new based off your unfair advantage, or you've bundled together two or three or four things that solve a customer's problem as a new solution. That co-creation generally leads to a revenue share of 50 to 50, of gross profit, or even maybe total, or maybe 70-30, or maybe an alternate. They're generally the two that I see. Last but not least, the last bit of the deal structure is because they were so desperate to change their position and wanted our focused time. It's generally a 6 to 7 figure upfront purchase of the joint offer bundle. So, for the particular partnership you'll see on the next screen, Ernst & Young gave us a 3-year partnership where we did a joint offer called a Super Team, and they pre-bought $500,000 worth of our software to lock in our focus, remove our cash flow issue, but also to get the commitment going. So that's the deal structure. So what are the type of partners does this work for? Well, it works for anyone that needs your unfair advantage, but in the particular case that I was talking about, one of them was IBM and one of them was EY. You can see both these partnerships are in the same 18 months. One cost us a lot of time and made very little money, and one saved us a lot of time and made us a lot more money, 14.2 million in recurring revenue. We were at 1 million in revenue before we hit those numbers, and in that 18-month period, we grew substantially. One took a lot of time, IBM, and one didn't. So what was the difference between the two? So we did another 40 more attempts partnership at my old company. We succeeded in 6 with similar numbers to Ernst & Young. And you could see that there were 3 things that stood out. One, we had a counterpart. So it's a very particular type of sponsor that sees your unfair advantage, and they have a personal incentive to grow. So this was EY was an associate partner that wanted to be partner. 2, we had a joint offer process that was a co-creation. So versus a resell, IBM resold our product. Ernst & Young said, do you think about your unfair advantage in IQ testing? Do you mind if we use it for reskilling? So we launched a new joint offer or a new product with Ernst & Young. So they had a lot of buy-in. And last but not least, and that buy-in also gives you avenue to get money up front because they feel like they've made an investment, and the length of the deal stops it being equity. And last but not least, like the distributor had a strategic growth imperative. Ernst & Young was trying to move into a new market, which was government consulting in Canada, was last in, had the least amount of market share, and IBM was the market leader in Australia for national security consulting. So didn't really want to do anything risky, whereas Ernst & Young did. So they made things happen a lot faster. And so we repeated this another 6 times to grow our company, which is really exciting. And as part of this program, we figured out that most people don't have a positive relationship with partnerships, and most founders actually don't get ones that ever equate to the same level of growth. And these are the reasons why. The first one is you see it as a revenue growth play versus a positioning play. For big companies, they want to change their market position and grow in certain market shares and affect their brand equity and share price. So if you just think of it as just revenue growth, you'll almost always end up in a resale arrangement. If you think it as changing the position of both companies, because they see your unfair advantage, you create something new, you'll end up in something else. So if you get stuck in a reseller agreement, you generally won't have a joint offer, which means you won't have an executive sponsor or upfront cash. It's a classic, they've got something really cool, let's see where it goes, versus they have something that we really need, let's see if we can create something new. Those 2 things get you an executive sponsor to support your counterpart and upfront cash. And if you've got no executive sponsor or upfront cash, there's generally no mutuality when you partner with a big business. There's no time investment, there's no upfront accountability, people haven't put budget in. And all of this leads to, even if you get a partnership closed and it's a reseller partnership, it generates really little revenue, and most people get resentful because of this. There's no mutuality. And as soon as founders get into a resentful position, a lot of their co-selling conversion goes down. And then all of a sudden, you guys have just wasted 18 months and you've delivered little revenue like we've done with IBM. But we've wasted a lot of time, and we hated IBM at the end of it. And so like it's not just the structure of just like resell versus say a joint offer that's a problem that founders get stuck in. Generally, founders have been benefited from being a lone player. It's sort of very rare that they benefit from being a team player. And there's 8 mindsets also stop them being successful as a partner that might make them successful as a founder. And so here are some. One of it is it's all on my shoulders. Another one is I'm not worthy of being visionary. And another one is urgency, not patience. And the last one is I need to control the outcome. Feeling lonely, not worthy of being a market changer. Urgency is rewarded you in patience. In partnerships you need patience, so you just don't have it as a natural speed. And last but not least, you need to control the outcome. That's probably behooved you as well. It doesn't work in partnerships. It eliminates mutuality. All of these mindsets eliminate your ability to do this the right way and do it in a mutual way. So you generally always rush towards a reseller agreement to see if there's a quick win and test each other out. If you start a relationship with testing each other out on the commercials, you'll never get a commercial outcome. And one of the other things too is big businesses, they get stuck on a really, really simple understanding that they just want your product, right? Actually, big companies want to change their market position so they can change their share price. And a startup can give them 4 things. They can give them an unfair advantage, generally your product. They can't create unfair advantages. They're really bad at innovation. You could trial a new commercial model. They struggle to launch a new commercial model because it affects their share price or their profitability or their consensus. It's like really, really hard for them to do a new business model. But with a partner, they can do it really quick. They can't say things to their clients because they have reputational challenges with share price. So they need a visionary voice, and you can say things they can't say. And last but not least, entrepreneurial endeavors give the market a soul, something to believe in that's bigger than the numbers. So those 4 things is why a really big company would partner with a startup. And if you understand them, then you understand the opportunities positioning, and you can also understand that you're worthy of it, and that you can get into a co-sell mode. So that's, what the deal structure is, how we found it out, how to repeat it, what stops founders in the first place, what mindsets then inhibit them being a good partner,